Yes, guys, welcome to the Fantasy Football Fix double Game Week 22 live stream. My name's FPL Nacho, and I do apologise for the delay in getting this live stream going. We know how it is with me. Sometimes technical difficulties do arise, but hopefully we have got this one sorted now, and I can't wait to get ourselves into this live stream. We have around 55 minutes until the deadline, so if you have not got your team plans sort of planned, make sure you do slightly get them confirmed because we haven't got too much time until then. So let me know who's in the chat, guys. It'd be great to see who is in there. We have plenty to cover off. I will be doing my team reveal, which is obviously why you're all here. No, of course it isn't. Then we will be looking at some predicted points for Game Week 22. That will help with a lot of your triple captaincy plans. I'm going to show off the Fantasy Football Fix Planner. It is an amazing tool that we have just released on Fantasy Football Fix, and you can check out the link in the bio, but I will be coming on to that one as well. Cheekster, I hope you're doing well. Again, thank you so much for moderating the chat. It's much appreciated. Rio, hi Nacho, is it worth a -4 to replace Havertz by Nketiah? And I actually don't think that is a transfer that you need to make this game week. With Havertz at home against Fulham, and we are anticipating him to be playing this game week against Fulham, I would much rather you just have Havertz for this game week and then maybe move him to Nketiah in game week 23 with his double. Don't think you need to make that move this week. And guys, let me know your transfers, your intended transfers for this double game week. Luke saying Kepa, Wan-Bissaka, Trippier, White, Martinelli, Rashford, Mahrez, Mount, Haaland, Kane, Mitrovic, bench, 1 free transfer. So I actually think your starting 11 is fantastic. I don't actually think you need to make a transfer this week necessarily. Although Mount is quite a controversial player, I don't think you necessarily need to sell him. Obviously, Cancelo is a must-sell for you. But I don't think defensively you need to bring in anyone to replace another player in your starting 11. The only thing I may consider for you is, could you potentially do someone like because I don't think you've got triple Arsenal, could you maybe go for a Mitrovic to a Nketiah? Is that a move you're considering? Otherwise, I would probably roll your free transfer, give yourself 2 free transfers, and then look to potentially go to Mason Mount to Odegaard and capitalise on that double game week. Maybe that's a move that you need to consider for your team. Mohammed saying, I have triple Man United, Martial, Rashford and Shaw, and I'm thinking of buying Bamford to spice things up. Who would you bench out of these? Salah? No. You can't bench Salah. Odegaard? No. Martinelli? No. And Matoma? No. So, although I love you trying to spice things up with Bamford, if it requires you benching any of the players that you've named there, then I don't think it is worthwhile the transfer at all. I couldn't sit here and tell you with confidence which one to bench there. Luke, would you recommend going for De Gea, Ake, Odegaard and KDB for Game Week 23 by taking a -8? Not big on a -8, and it's all about who you're selling, Luke. So you might need to let me know in the chat who you are selling out of that lot. Ben said, hi mate, already done. Salah to Bruno and Martinelli to Odegaard. Was thinking about taking Almiron out, but not sure who to, Ben. Naturally, that is going to require you doing a -4 point hit. And because of that reason, I don't necessarily think it is worthwhile with the home fixture. It's not a bad home fixture, we need to remember. So, realistically, I think you're in a position right now where I would probably just roll with the team that you've got, play Almiron, and then in the following game week, you can have that flexibility to make a transfer going forward. Right, I see we have a few more questions in the chat, but what I want to do is show you my current transfer plans going into double game week 22, courtesy of the Fantasy Football Fix planner. So let's get that up on screens for you guys now. Right then, so on screen what you can see here is our new Fantasy Football Fix planner. Now this is a Google Chrome extension, and you can find the link in the bio of this YouTube live stream. I really do recommend checking it out. It's all completely free. All you need is Google Chrome and of course a Fantasy Football Fix account, which you can set up for free to incorporate into your FPL team. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that the Google Chrome extension is basically synced with the official Fantasy Premier League site. And that's what I absolutely love about it. You can see on the tab here, it is incorporated alongside the price change tab, which is basically merged from Fantasy Football Fix, and the tab there which says planner. And what I love about this is it completely incorporates into the official site and brings you into a page that you can see on screen here. Now, you can have up to 5 drafts. I have currently set up 2. It tells you the projected points over the next, we're going to say 5 game weeks here, for example. And when we come down here into each game week, I can then project, basically build my team for game week 22. Then I can click next, as you can see on screen here. It will take me to game week 23, 24, 25, and onwards. So I have got an example of what I am planning here on screen. And what I'm currently deliberating right now, and I've slightly made some changes here, is Kane to Nketiah, and then selling Almiron to bring in Fernandes. And that will give me the squad that you can see on your screens here. It tells me here that it is projected to score 77.4 points with the 2 free transfers that I am using. And that is how the squad will look. Now, when I click next, it will take me into game week 23 with those transfers that I've used. And again, guys, you need to remember, this is all incorporated in the official Fantasy FPL site. And make sure you do download it with the link in the bio. Now, again, this is telling me I have got 78 projected points for this team here. And importantly, I can make changes and see how my team is going to look going forward. So, for example, with this team here, I might be looking to potentially use my free transfers to get rid of Doherty, maybe bring in a Reece James, for example. So all I can do there is obviously remove Matt Doherty there. And again, it doesn't affect your live team. So make sure, of course, it is not impacting your team. Any save that you make on this draft is just specifically for the Fantasy Football Fix planner. It doesn't affect the actual team that you do have. So I could bring in Reece James, for example. Tells me here my projected points is 78. Then when I click next, I can lock in my changes and move forward into game week 24, where I might want to play Reece James, for example, in the expense of Kieran Trippier. So just to go back to game week 23, and I'll save the changes there. That is how game week 22 would be looking for my team right now. I would sell Harry Kane, downgrade to Nketiah. Then I would be looking to upgrade Almiron to capitalise on that Bruno Fernandes double game week. I think with my team, this is the best route, as it means I have double Man City going into game week 23 without any transfers required. And importantly, because I have Matt Doherty and Patterson red flagged, they are a real risk of my team. If there was to be any rotation in game week 23, I could then look to move in those players rather than trying to force a Man City player into my team. Now, the reason I'm saying that, and what I'm going to do is come into draft 2 here on the planner. I've already set this up here where I have done the alternative plan. I have sold Kevin De Bruyne for Bruno Fernandes, and I have sold Almiron for Odegaard. Now, long term, I do prefer Odegaard over Eddie Nketiah, it is worth noting. But for the short term, I prefer Nketiah. Now, with this draft here, you can see it is projected to score 77.9 points. Now, when we compare that to draft 1 is projected to score 77.4. But again, we are looking at a bit more longer term with our drafts. Now, as I said, 2 free transfers here. KDB to Fernandes, Almiron to Odegaard. It means that I get to keep Harry Kane, which I think is a really, really good move naturally for my team. I think that is a benefit long term. But with my team here that you can see on screen, what I am a little bit hesitant about is when I go into game week 23, we can see here, I only have 1 Man City player, which is a little bit of a worry. Now, naturally, what I could do, which is a super easy move, is sell Fernandes and go back to Kevin De Bruyne, or in this instance, I'm going to say Mahrez, because maybe he emerges as the better option. Now, I've used my free transfer, and I now field this team, which I would be more than happy to field. But again, I don't have that third Man City option, and that comes at the expense of Harry Kane. And why I think I prefer draft 1 to draft 2, because I already have the Man City options available to me. And in this draft here, when I come into game week 23, again, if I don't want Reece James, I can bring in Mahrez at the expense of another player. In draft 2, if injuries arise and I have problems, then I really am going to be stuck bringing in triple Man City. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are before I reveal what direction I am going to go with my team. But again, This is all done on the Fantasy Football Fix Planner. You can download it. I've seen Tom put it in the chat and also in the bio. It syncs up perfectly with the official Fantasy Football site. It's a Google Chrome extension for free. I really highly recommend you checking it out. I've been using it literally religiously for the last 48 hours trying to decipher what I'm going to do with my team, and I've only just decided what to do with it. So make sure you do check that out. So without further ado, let's get into my Game Week 22 team reveal, as it is unheard of on a Friday evening that I actually have my team confirmed, but lo and behold, I have officially locked in my transfers. And this is how my team is going to look. I have decided to sell Harry Kane. Yes, I am expecting him to punish me in the long term, to bring in Eddie Nketiah. Now, I actually don't think Arsenal are going to do very well against Everton. I know it's controversial, but I honestly do think that Sean Dyche is going to put up such a resolute performance against Arsenal. Yes, I expect Arsenal to win, but I think it is going to be an absolute scrap for Arsenal. So I don't necessarily think Nketiah is going to be delivering the goods this game week. It's more for a Game Week 23 perspective where he has that fantastic double. I say fantastic, it is Man City in there, but still, nonetheless, it is a fantastic option for that double game week. And then I've sold Almiron to bring in Bruno Fernandes for the double game week. You saw in the drafts that I showed you previously, it gives me the flexibility then to maybe even hold Fernandes if I don't want to go to another Man City option. I could potentially look to move Doherty to a Chelsea defender. I just think this gives me flexibility. And while I hate not having Harry Kane in my team, I think for my squad in particular, it just sets me up for the longer term better going forward. What will be with Harry Kane, unfortunately. I think this team sets me up better. So just to confirm, I have sold Harry Kane for Eddie Nketiah, and I have decided to sell Almiron to bring in Bruno Fernandes for his double game week. The team is on the screen here. You can see that there. Hopefully it is clear what moves I have made. So let's get back into the questions, guys, as I see there are a lot in the chat. And let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the moves that I have made for my team? Is it the right move, or should I have kept Harry Kane and maybe sold Kevin De Bruyne and gave myself the option of having a midfield option later down the line with some flexibility? Right. Let's get into the chat, guys. Sammy is saying triple captain Rashford or Haaland in game week 23. And this has been basically the hot topic for the last few days now. And my personal opinion is triple captain Rashford is the route that I would go for. I personally think Haaland has such a high ceiling in any game. But looking at Arsenal's underlying stats at home, they have only conceded per 90 minutes and expected goals conceded of 0.69. And I really think with Haaland, he requires big chances to score. That is kind of the way that he has been scoring all of his points so far this season. And because of that, I think Haaland's points are going to come in that Aston Villa game. There's no denying that he could rack up a hat-trick in that fixture. But with the Arsenal game, if Man City go a couple of goals up, I wouldn't foresee a situation where Haaland might come off early to save himself for that Arsenal game. So realistically, I do think Rashford, with his double fixtures at home against Crystal Palace and against Leeds, is the route that I would go for. Remember, midfielders do get an extra point for a clean sheet and an extra point for a goal. I think that's massive when we are considering a triple captaincy option. So if I had to go for one, I would put the triple captaincy on Rashford for game week 22 rather than go for the triple captaincy on Haaland. But let me know your thoughts in the chat, guys. I'd be really interested to know what you are doing. Chinese is saying KDB and Almiron to Bruno and Odegaard for a -4. I'm not huge on it for a -4. I can't lie. I would almost be tempted to maybe do Kevin De Bruyne to Bruno Fernandes and not do the Almiron to Odegaard move this week. Give yourself the free transfer the following game week. Derek saying Martinelli, March, De Bruyne, bench one. If I had to bench one, it probably would be March. I think Martinelli has a tricky fixture, but I just can't be looking to bench an Arsenal attack right now. Samir is saying who to start, Almiron, Cucurella or Andreas. I think if I had to start one, I actually would back the Chelsea defence and go for Cucurella. I think Newcastle is going to be quite a low scoring game against West Ham this game week. I'm not expecting Newcastle to be going all guns blazing with Bruno Guimaraes now out with his suspension. So I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. I back Cucurella for the clean sheet this week. Steve, dumped De Bruyne for Fernandes. Already got Rashford, Shaw, captaincy on Fernandes as a punt. Too much risk maybe. Yes, so Steve, I absolutely get it. The captaincy on Fernandes is a really appealing move. And for example, I'm not against that at all. I just think having Fernandes alongside Rashford captain is enough of a combination to give you some sort of rank swing. You can go for the captaincy on Bruno Fernandes, but just remember, Rashford's ownership is going to be like 200% plus. And because of that reason, I think you just don't take the risk and you just go for the captaincy on Rashford. But again, if you're sat there, 2 million, you're not happy with that, then a captaincy on Bruno Fernandes is probably the best punt that you could go for this season so far. Junaid's saying constants are death, taxes, and Nacho drinking his water. Yes, that is absolutely true there. Got to stay hydrated as always. Daff is saying start Saliba or Almiron. I'm probably going to say Saliba here. A bit controversial, but I really don't think it is going to be a high-scoring game in the Newcastle game. Ben, also in Game Week 25, I would only have 10 fielding players when I bring De Bruyne in. Do you think it's worth a -4 in the future to field all 11? Again, we'll address Game Week 25 when we get there. I don't think we need to be contemplating it too much right now. The only reason I say it is if you're sat there with triple Newcastle, triple Arsenal, maybe Ivan Toney, and then you're looking to bring in Matoma on top of that, then you might be stumbling into a bit of a problem later down the line. So just be cautious of that going forward. I don't think you need to worry about it too much right now. Kepa or Nick Pope to start this game week? I think I prefer the Newcastle defence. And if you have Trippier right now, I feel like you need to start Pope to kind of double down on that Newcastle clean sheet if they were to keep one. But we need to remember, Kepa, if they keep a clean sheet, does rack up the save points. But I probably would go for Pope and just go for that Newcastle double up. And again, I see Tom has dropped the link in the chat there for the Google Chrome extension for our planner. Please do check it out. I highly recommend it. Tay saying Mitrovic to Bamford. I really do like that move. Bamford, I think, is going to be a fantastic differential this game week with Rodrigo out. I've discussed this. With Bamford, the one season that he actually had, and we need to remember, it's basically only been one season in the Premier League because last year was just completely injury-ridden. I believe he scored 17 goals, 11 assists. Someone correct me in the chat if that's wrong, but Bamford and big chances come hand in hand. It's just his conversion rate is really poor. But I think Bamford is an amazing differential. Now, the reason why I'm a little bit and ahhing about it, Mitrovic plays Nottingham Forest in Game Week 23, which I think is a really good fixture. And we need to remember that Leeds, with their attackers, quite hard to predict who is going to start each and every game week. But look, if you want to go for a punt, I love it on Bamford. What to do with Martial if I don't have Bruno with 2 free transfers? Now, I do not like the idea of you going Martial to someone else and then to Bruno. The only way I like it with your 2 free transfers is if you were to do Martial to Nketiah, for example, and then you were to upgrade one of your midfielders to Bruno. Then I like that move. I think you're getting the better Man United option and you're giving yourself a better attacker in the process. Weird Al saying, would you start a Stupinan or White? I think because of the Brighton fixture that they do have, against Bournemouth, I probably would back a Stupinan in that game. Start Kepa or Nick Pope. Hopefully I've covered that one off for you there. Right, guys, while we're chatting about it here, I just want to put up the fixtures on screen and then I will come back to the questions that are happening in the chat. Okay, so just to have this on screen for you guys while we're chatting through the questions, because I think it is really relevant. Acknowledging the blank Game Week 25. And we can see that on screen there. When we are considering Man United options right now, while they are absolutely the route that we want to go for, we have to remember that Leeds away in Game Week 23 and Leicester at home in Game Week 24 are fantastic fixtures, but they blank in Game Week 25. So the way I'm viewing Man United options is this right now. Get yourself triple Man United. Do not be put off by the blank Game Week 25 at all. Let's say you have a combination of Shaw, Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. Absolutely perfect for this week. And if you don't want to move away from Bruno Fernandes, I think they're great for both Game Week 23 and Game Week 24. Game Week 25, I think, is the time if you have held Bruno Fernandes to then move away from him then. I think holding Rashford and Shaw is perfectly fine in Game Week 25, but you need to remember that if you have triple Newcastle, a Brighton asset, then you're going to really struggle to field 11 players there. So do not be hesitant to bring in Man United triple up. It absolutely is the play, but just be cautious that if you have a lot of blank game week players in 25, and just a reminder, that's Brighton players, Brentford players, and Newcastle players alongside Man United, just need to be a little bit longer term planning. And again, that is a perfect reason why to download our Google Chrome extension, which is totally free, and you can integrate it into the official FPL site, and you can just long-term plan your drafts going forward. I will get that back up on screen for you guys in a little bit. You can see why Leeds assets are very popular though, and why managers are moving towards Nanto. Double in game week 22. Then they have Man United at home, and again, Leeds against the big teams have really performed this season. Even when the results haven't gone their way, they really have put in a performance. Then they go away against Everton, which might be a low-scoring affair considering Sean Dyche is now at the reins. And then in game week 25, they're at home against Southampton. And why I do really like Leeds assets is because they have a confirmed fixture in game week 25, which looks really good on paper against Southampton. So if you are considering someone like a Nanto in your team and downgrading one of your forwards to him, what I love is that what you could do is start him in game week 22, bench him in 23 and 24, and bring him back in 25 for that home fixture against Southampton. He can then sit there while you deploy a 3-5-2 formation week in, week out, and then you could look to start him in a 3-4-3 formation in game week 25. Because he is only 5 million, he's such an easy player from a psychological perspective just to bench week in, week out, and accept if he does deliver, you've got an informed player that can come in at any point in your side. Again, acknowledge the fixtures on screen, guys. Check them out. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions on there. Mads is saying Foden to Mudryk or Mahrez. I'm going to have to say Mahrez here. Mudryk is the kind of ace in the pack, but I can't really sit here and tell you to bring in Mudryk right now. I don't know what his expected minutes are going to be. And because Mahrez has been one of the informed players in the game right now, and he has a confirmed double in 23, I'm naturally going to recommend Mahrez as the route for you to go for. Luke saying, how come have I not triple captained Rashford? And that is a little bit of a stab to the heart, because unfortunately I used my triple captain on Haaland in game week 20 and it didn't come to anything. If I did have my triple captain, it would absolutely be on Marcus Rashford this game week. Lisa saying, hi, I have 2 free transfers. I have done Salah to Fernandes. Would you then do either Mitrovic to Nketiah or Almiron to Mitoma? Worry about the blank game week 25 later, or do both for a -4. So if you are in a position where you're not worrying about game week 25, it's a really difficult one, because you're bringing in Nketiah, who has a double in game week 23, but you're bringing in Mitoma, who right now has a fantastic fixture. If I was debating one or the other, I probably would get Nketiah in, but I would ask you, are you wanting to bring in a Arsenal midfielder? And if that is the case, then naturally Nketiah isn't the move for you. Bring in Mitoma for that fantastic home game against Bournemouth. Megamind, March to Saka for a -4. I don't think that's needed this week. I think that's a transfer for you to roll going into game week 23 when they double, and then we can contemplate that then. March has a fantastic fixture this week. Don't think it's necessary for a -4. John, I've just dumped KDB for a -4. Have a 3-5-2 of Martinelli, Odegaard, Fernandes, Mitoma, Rashford, Haaland and Tony with Kane on the bench. Should I have Kane on the bench? John, I honestly cannot advocate anybody putting Kane on the bench. He is one of those players that if you own him, you absolutely have to start him week in, week out without failure. Because if Spurs are going to score, you know Kane is at the absolute heartbeat of that there. Realistically, looking at your team, I understand the problem here where you have got so many fantastic options and you really don't know which one to bench. I just couldn't sit here and tell you to bench Harry Kane. Realistically, Tony at home against Southampton, what an amazing fixture that is as well. The thing is about, I can't really sit here and tell you to bench another player. But if I had to bench one, it probably would be Mitoma for Kane. And it's very, very controversial. Otherwise, you bench Tony. Alex saying, who to start? Cucurella, Bueno, Almiron or
I'm not tempted by Andreas, naturally. Bueno, I need to remind myself who he plays, and that is... who does Bueno play? Guys, let me know in the chat. Who does Bueno play? I'm really stuck on that one this week. Who Wolves have got? That's a, they got Liverpool. Not going to be playing Bueno at all. So naturally, I think you're going to have to start in that situation. Cucurella, and hope they get a clean sheet. Who does start, Mitrovic or Ben Mee? In that situation, I would start Ben Mee, I think. Ben, hi Nacho. What's the best between Saka and Mitrovic to Nketiah and Fernandes, or the Martinelli, Mitrovic and Almiron to Nketiah, Fernandes? And that's a tricky one, Ben. I don't like you selling Saka first and foremost. I think you're bringing in a worse Arsenal asset in Nketiah longer term. Martinelli, Mitrovic and Almiron to Nketiah, Fernandes and Andreas. Again, Andreas coming into a team doesn't feel worthwhile for a -4. Look, I like the first move. Have you got another Arsenal midfielder though? If you do, I like the first one compared to the second one, definitely. Odegaard or Saka for game week 23. All about your funds available. If all of the players was the same price, I would go for Saka. But personally, I'd probably be in a situation where Odegaard plus money in the bank is the route that I would go for. Steve saying, cheers Nacho, currently at 430k. You're right about the effective ownership, so switch to Rashford. Hoovering up triple captaincy right now, but also needs sorting long term. Yep, that's fair, Steve. Hopefully it does pay off. Again, I'm absolutely behind you putting the triple captaincy on Fernandes. Just remember, if it doesn't come in, it is going to really affect your rank. Whom to bench? KDB? No, cannot bench him. Nketiah? No, you cannot bench. Mitoma, Martinelli or Tony? You're in a really tricky position here. I probably would either accept that I already have coverage in Arsenal with Nketiah and bench Martinelli, or I would bench probably Mitoma in this situation right now. Right, guys, while the questions are still coming in, really do appreciate it. I am just going to show you the predicted points for game week 22. We get an understanding on which players you should be targeting for your transfers. Hopefully this will help you out. Okay, so we've got it here based on goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. So again, I'm going to leave that on screen for you guys to check out. You can get an understanding on which players are the ones to go for this game week. So goalkeepers, again, I'm not really big on a goalkeeper transfer, even for a double game week. If you bring in De Gea, I like it, but then he blanks in game week 25, so you need to make sure you have a backup goalie. Meslier is a really interesting one. That great fixture in game week 25 at home against Southampton. I can get behind the Meslier transfer over the De Gea one personally. I think that could be quite a shrewd one. He could rack up some save points in that tricky second fixture in game week 22 against Man United. Defenders wise, I can't really advocate Varane, even though he is top for projected points in game week 22. I think he's always a little bit of a rotation risk, and he always has that worry of that injury niggle going forward. If you don't have Luke Shaw, I still think he's a fantastic transfer for your sides. But with Wan-Bissaka, I can't really get behind. For this game week, yes, but Dalot returning to training, I think it's naturally a rotation risk going forward. Martinez, I really do like, but again, question marks over potential rotation under Ten Hag. But I do like Man United as a double up in defence if you are looking for a differential route, if you can't afford the Bruno Fernandes option. And as always, Trippier, he's never not been in the top 5 for defenders ever. He is just a bonus point magnet. Now, coming into the interesting players, midfielders, there's no surprise that it is completely Man United. 11 projected points for Rashford compared to Fernandes is 10.8. So, for those that are currently deliberating the triple captaincy, as I said, I'm naturally going to go for Rashford over Fernandes because of the ownership going to be sky high with Rashford. But with Fernandes, I really do think that he is the differential pick. If the ownership wasn't so big on Rashford, I probably would have more of a case for Fernandes because you can see the projected points are very, very close between the two. Anthony, I can't really get behind because Sancho is now back in the squad. I think there is going to be rotation there for him. Casemiro, who would have thought we consider him as an option? 7.8 projected points. He is actually posting some okay underlying stats, but again, I can't really be offering Man United third spot for Casemiro. And Fred, nah, no chance. But he's looking good for the projected numbers. Now, forwards, this is where I love it. Bamford has come out of nowhere in the last few days. I've been tracking the projected points on Fantasy Football Fix, and all of a sudden, Bamford just come out of nowhere. and pipped everyone to the line at 6.8 projected points. Looked good in that cup game. Again, it was a low team he was playing against, so it is worth noting that in the FA Cup. But with the injury to Rodrigo, I think Bamford's minutes are going to be only increased off the back of that news. 6.8 projected points. I love the idea of Bamford coming into the teams. His underlying stats are always fantastic when he does have game time at Leeds. And if you want a real punt at 7.2 million, I love the Bamford move. Martial, good projected points, really low expected minutes because of the injury risk, so I can't be recommending Martial. Tony looks good for another week, but probably going to look to move away afterwards. So I'll leave that on screen for you guys to check out. Let me know your thoughts on Bamford if you think he's a good differential. I really, really do like him as an option this week. Right, let's get back into the questions, guys. And again, guys, I haven't actually said this on the stream. If you can drop a like, there's only 15 likes on the stream. If you can drop a like, that'd be massively appreciated. It is always great to see that you're enjoying the content. And we can see that by you guys dropping a like on the stream. That would be greatly appreciated as always. And we have 25 minutes until the deadline. So if you haven't got your team confirmed already, make sure you do have a little bit of an idea on what move you want to go for. Again, I'm here for the next 25 minutes to answer any of those queries that you do have. And it's worth noting as well, I will try and get up on my screen. You won't be able to see this on here. Just some background information to see if there's any news coming out about any potential transfers. I want to make sure that there's no team leaks for Chelsea. Maybe there's a Reece James that emerges. That would be worthwhile later down the line. But no, I can't see anything right now. So let's get back to the questions as we speak. Okay, what have we got? Start Mitrovic or Solly March? I think you probably have to go for Solly March because that fantastic fixture. That's the route that I would go for personally. Ben, White, Martinelli and Saka. That's your Arsenal coverage, I believe. I need to come back to your original question, Ben. Hi, Nacho, what's best between Saka and... Okay, so I think I've covered that one off for you, Ben. Let me know if I haven't already. I do apologise. Will Day, Trossard versus Mitoma. Mitoma every day of the week. Murphy's saying play White or Burn. I would probably say go for Burn and get yourself that Newcastle double up. Ibs saying triple captain Rashford or Bruno. I've covered that one off. I would going to say Rashford on that one. Ross, should I triple captain? Covered that one. Oh, sorry. Would I triple captain Rashford or Haaland next week? Look, this one is a really difficult one. I personally would go for Rashford with the 2 home fixtures that he has in front of him. His own home underlying stats is fantastic. I personally would go for Rashford, but I cannot argue Haaland. Like, there's no denying that Haaland is an amazing triple captaincy option, in particular with that Aston Villa home game that he does have. Babu saying Mitrovic or Botman to start. Probably have to say Botman and just back that Newcastle defence. Barmiami saying, I need a massive point haul in mini league. So is Bruno triple a good idea? Look, if you are looking for a monster haul and you're willing to go against the monster ownership that is going to be Rashford this game week, I don't think they come much better than a triple captaincy on Bruno Fernandes. That is going to absolutely fly you up the ranks if he does deliver. Just remember, as I always tell people, if he flops and Rashford does well, it's going to really hinder your overall rank. It is worth noting. Cristiano Ronaldo's in the chat. Wow, can't believe it. Start 2 of Martinelli, White, March and Kane. Kane is an automatic pick, and I think Martinelli probably is as well. So you're going to have to bench White and March, I think, personally. Start De Bruyne or Nonto. The problem is here, when are you not going to start Nonto with a double game week? But you know me, I hate benching the premium. So probably what I'm going to say to you is this. What I'm going to say to you is this. Who else are you starting to be in a situation there? SMBTD saying, nope, Tom, I've got Fernandes, Odegaard, Rashford, Martinelli, Mahrez, Haaland, Kane and Tony. What was your original question? Who would you bench? Kane, Tony or Mahrez? Wow. Probably Mahrez. Would I? Probably Mahrez. Controversial, probably Mahrez. FPL chats. Hi Nacho, thanks for the stream. Would you start White or March? I'll probably go March. I'll probably go Solly March and really double down on that Brighton attack. Let's see what else we have got, guys. Do you think Gnonto is worth a punt? Absolutely, Ben. I think Gnonto is a fantastic punt. And the reason why I do like him is what it means is that you can then downgrade or change your formation to a 3-5-2 with Gnonto as your third mid, third forward. Apologies, can't get my words out. Then what I would recommend is then playing him this game week. Then you could bench him for the following ones and play him in the blank game week 25. I'm really behind that move. Oscar saying, Odegaard or Matoma for a -4? Matoma for Andreas, Odegaard for... I really don't like it for a -4. You're basically going to sell Andreas for Matoma, or you're going to sell Martinelli to Odegaard. I don't like the Martinelli Odegaard for a -4 at all. So if you have to pick one, it probably would be Andreas and Matoma for a -4, but not big on it. Gnonto for a -4, it's all about who you're selling on that one, buddy. Azo G saying, sell Mitrovic and buy Tony. Not big on that move right now. I understand it for this game week, but longer term, I'm not huge on that move. I think there's more priorities out there. I'd much rather you go in Nketiah with the double in 23 that he has coming up. Charlie, transfer in Mahrez or KDB? Also, why is Rashford TC this week better than Haaland next week? Convince me. Charlie, as I said, I think both are fantastic options, and I can't really sit here and say one or the other is going to outscore them. What I'm kind of thinking is, the reason why I like Rashford, 2 fantastic home games. A midfielder gets another point for a goal and a clean sheet, which I think is really big. And Haaland, no denying, he's an unbelievable option. But away against Arsenal, whose home defensive numbers right now is 0.69 expected goals conceded per 90, the best of any team. I don't think Haaland is going to be getting the big chances that he's so used to. And when you look at Haaland's goals scored, they all come from big chances. So if Arsenal aren't giving up the big chances, Haaland, I don't think is going to mega haul against Arsenal. And I think the ceiling for Rashford this week is really high. That said, we've seen Haaland score 60-minute hat-tricks. So he could do that against Aston Villa and already outscore Rashford. So this is one of those situations. Both are fantastic options. I'm just going to back Rashford this week because of the fixtures. That is all. It's only because of the fixtures. Carl, you reckon Everton could cause some issues with their new manager back? Yeah, Carl, absolutely. I think Arsenal are just too good. The way they play is so structured that I think it just does well against any team. What I mean by that is they're not reliant on individuals to just score worldies or individuals to produce incredible performances to win games. The way they play is so meticulous, so well drilled, that I think it's going to be incredibly tough for Everton to keep a clean sheet. But I think they make it very tough for them. I think they make it very tough. Jack saying, Nacho, would you sell Martinelli for Odegaard for a -4? No, I wouldn't sell that for a -4. No, not at all. FPL chats, hi Nacho, thanks for the content. Would you start White or March? I would start March of the 2, I think, personally. Tyler, bring in Bruno for Nketiah for -8. Depends who you're selling on that one. Bench Almiron or Mitrovic? I would probably bench Mitrovic and start Almiron, but the only issue with that is I'm just backing the Chelsea defence, and that could be my biased head being on. What I will say is I will check out for you the projected points for both Mitrovic and for Almiron, just to give you a bit of an idea. Now, you won't see this on your screens, but I'm just going to get it up and read it out for you. So you've got a bit of an idea on what the Fantasy Football Fix algorithm is predicting for those two players. So for Almiron, they're predicting 3.7 points and Mitrovic 3.3. So take that information with you. I think Almiron is probably the pick there, though. Nunez and Almiron to Bruno Ferguson for a -4. Not big on that move for a -4 personally. You're bringing in Ferguson, who is going to blank in game week 25, which doesn't really help your team going forward. Mitoma to Almiron. I guess you're saying Almiron to Mitoma. Yes, I do like that move. Just be conscious of the to game week 25 blank. I have Trippier, me, Botman, and Shaw. Who to bench? Of those to bench, I think if you start Trippier, you have to start Botman to get the double down on the defense, and you have to go Shaw. So I'm going to say bench me in that situation. Yes, that was a tricky question there, SMBTD. Mitoma from Almiron and Odegaard from Martinelli. Again, I just don't like the Martinelli to Odegaard move. I think that's more of a transfer that you can just roll and have more flexibility the following game week. Guys, 15 minutes until the deadline. So as I said, if you haven't got your teams locked in, this really is the time to start thinking about them. I'm just personally checking out my team to make sure it is locked in and it is in a position that I'm happy. If the servers were to crash, I can roll with the team in front of me and be happy with it and content. Yes, I think I am. I will again reveal my team in a second for you guys to check out. Just checking out any more questions in the chat. John saying, have a bench of Ward, Matoma, White and Bueno. Is it worth using my bench boost? John, absolutely not. Do not use your bench boost this week. Matoma to Nonto for -4. I don't mind it, but what's the rest of your squad looking like? I don't think it's the best for a -4, personally. Bruno and Nketiah in for Kane and Bailey for a -8. For a -8. Doesn't feel good for a -8, I personally don't. Guys, let Tyler know in the chat. Would you do that for a -8? Luke, would you go for Kepa to De Gea, considering I have Mitrovic or Cancelo for Luke Shaw? Would you go for Kepa to De Gea? No, I wouldn't. I understand the double game week that you're bringing in, but I just don't like the goalkeeper transfer personally. Considering you have Mitrovic or Cancelo for Luke Shaw and not get KDB, I'm not huge on the goalkeeper transfer personally. Carl, yeah, my thoughts exactly. Gone for Salah to Odegaard to prep for next week. And also Almiron to Bruno. Currently sitting at 74k overall, so hopefully, but yep, like that team, Carl. Hopefully that does pay off. Right, I'm going to reveal my team again, guys. But just a quick heads up on what my deliberations were prior to that. So let me show you the Fantasy Football Fix planner that you can see on your screens here. Now, a quick reminder that the link to get this is in the bio and also in the chat that Tom has put in. It is a Google Chrome extension that you can download for free. It syncs with the official FPL site. So you can see on the tab here, we have got the price changes tab that has been basically brought through the Fantasy Football Fix site and the planner tab there. All perfectly synced up with your Fantasy Football Fix account and the FPL official site. So what I can do is create up to 5 drafts that give me an idea on how my team is going to look over the coming game weeks. Now you can see here with this team, draft 1, I have got what I planned on doing. What I have done is Kane to Nketiah and selling Almiron to Bruno Fernandes, projected to score 77.4 points. And the beauty of this, when I click next, it shows me how my team is going to look for game week 23. Now, what you can do here is reset the game week and shows you how your team is looking, because I originally had Reece James as a transfer. So with this team here, as I said, I wanted to have the double Man City double Man City attack. Now with a transfer available, I can roll with the punches and see how the game week opens up. If we're in a situation where the starting 11 that I'm showing you on the screen is looking good, I can then look to potentially make a luxury transfer for my team. So for example, if Martinelli looks like his game time is going to be a bit at risk, I could do Martinelli to Odegaard as an example. If Bruno Fernandes doesn't look the best from an attacking perspective, I can then sell Fernandes and bring in Mahrez for game week 23. And the best thing about this, as I mentioned, click next, save changes, brings you into game week 24. And on the top of the screen, it tells us our projected points. Now, this is where I think it would be time to get in on Reece James. So, for example, in game week 24, I could look to do Doherty. How dare they cancel his contract? Sell Doherty to Reece James and bring him in for game week 24, and then look to start him maybe in the absence of somebody like a Trippier if I'm not expecting them to do well against Liverpool that game week. So guys, make sure you do check that out. Link is in the bio. You can download this all for free and sync it up perfectly with your official Fantasy Football Fix account and the official FPL site. So let me show you how my team is looking, guys, going into game week 22. As I mentioned, I have sold Harry Kane and I have sold Almiron. I have brought in Nketiah and I have brought in the certain Bruno Fernandes, who's of course one of the most popular players going into this game week. Alex is saying, Matoma going to be the Lingard of West Ham days. I think Matoma is going to fly under the radar consistently because of that blank game week 25. I do agree. Start March in a home fixture against Bournemouth or Kane? Kane. No questions. Kane has to start. So I could do Salah to Bruno, but I think Bruno will score against Wolves. I think you mean Salah will score against Wolves. If that's the case, stick by it. Stick by your plans and go for that one, buddy. Alex, hey mate, would you do a -8 Salah, Mitrovic and Almiron to Bruno, Odegaard and Nketiah? Would be taking the same hits next week anyways to triple up on Arsenal and City. So are you going to then take another hit to then bring in City players? Because otherwise I don't really like it. I don't think you need to make all of these moves. I personally think you could just do, honestly, Salah to Bruno is a move that you could just do on its own in isolation and be happy with it. Or you could do, I don't think you need to do the Nketiah move on top of all these moves. I'll probably just do a -4 and then go for the move that you prefer, whether selling Almiron or Mitrovic. I personally would probably do Salah and Mitrovic and sell them to Bruno and Odegaard. Rory, is it a good option to go for KDB Fernandes and next week have Saka have replaced Fernandes and then have funds to bring in Ake for Williams? Yeah, don't mind that at all, Rory. I don't think that's a bad strategy at all. Charlie, do I transfer in Mahrez or KDB? For this game week, I don't think that's a priority move for Man City midfielder. Let me know what your thoughts are, buddy, on that one. Who are you selling? Ashley, Haaland, Kane and Nketiah up top. Mudryk, Rashford, Fernandes, Odegaard and Mahrez. Who do I leave out? Who do you leave out of that bunch? Well, you brought in Mudryk. You can't not start Mudryk because of that transfer. Can't not bench Haaland. Can't bench Kane. Can you? I think you have to bench probably Mahrez. But you've given yourself a massive headache there. What I'm going to say is I'm not even going to bother looking at the algorithm because naturally Mudryk is going to be the worst by far. There's no information on him. He's a massive punt, so I can't really recommend Mudryk. But that's more of a, because you brought him in, you just have to start him, basically. Safwan's saying, how would you deal with the blank game week 25? By just making sure that the plans in advance are concrete. So, for example, moving away from the triple Man United, moving away from a triple Newcastle, and making sure that I can field as close to 11 as possible. Edward, who do I bench? Cucurella or Mitrovic? I'll probably bench Mitrovic and start Cucurella personally. But again, I don't know whether he starts Cucurella. That's the only issue there. That's the only caveat. Let me just quickly check online to see if there's any team news updates. Is there any news out yet? I don't think there's any Chelsea news as we speak. No, I can't see anything right now. Okay, I can't see anything right now, guys, in regards to a Chelsea lineup, so I do apologise, but I expect Cucurella to start. But again, if you guys have any information about what's going on, let me know in regards to the Chelsea news. There could be some late news, but again, we only have 7 minutes until the deadline. Ashley, it's my wild card. It's your wild card. Right, Ashley, if this is your wild card team, then you're going to have a benching headache each and every game week, which is the only issue for you here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the problem right now, mate, is if you have this team, you're going to have this headache of starting one. I'd probably bench Mahrez and just accept what will be, unfortunately. You're going to have that headache if you're going that strong in your front 8. I'm selling Foden midfielder, Saka, Martinelli and Rashford. Already triple up on Arsenal. Just don't want Foden part of the City triple up. So it's Mahrez or KDB. Oh, okay. So if you're looking to buy one, look, I think this is the way I'm viewing it right now. And this is I can't answer it exactly. If you go KDB, it means that if Liverpool get a double game week announcement, you have an easy sideways move to Mo Salah if they were to get a double. If you go Mahrez, you're kind of sacrificing the premium midfielder slot, which could be an issue for you going forward. So it's all about your team structure and preference. Right now, if I was buying fresh, I probably would go for Mahrez. I think his game time is decent. His underlying stats are better than Kevin De Bruyne's. But I like Kevin De Bruyne because it means he sits in your team as a premium and you can easily go sideways to any sort of player if you want to. So I can't answer that one exactly until you kind of think about what direction you want to go with your team. Ward or Kepa to start, I would go Kepa. He is a bonus point magnet if he is going to keep a clean sheet. What are Kane's predicted points and March's predicted points? Cristiano, anything for you? I will answer that question right now. So, Kane is predicted to score 4.6 points. March, on the other hand, is predicted to score 5.3. So, yes, March is predicted to score more, but from a moral perspective, I just cannot sit here and tell you to bench Kane. That's the only thing about it. But based on that algorithm, yes, March is the pick. Thiago Silva or William Saliba? Has to be Saliba because he has a double in game week 23. If you're looking for a start today, I'd be favouring Thiago Silva. Alex, next week Bruno to KDB free. Yes, Alex, I don't mind that at all. I think that's a solid plan that you have on your page there. Carl, bench Akanji or White? I feel like Akanji is the obvious answer, but worried about the Everton's bounce back. Everton might bounce back, but I view their bounce back more being difficult to beat rather than free-flowing goal scoring. So because of that, I think I would bench Akanji. Hi, mate. Which two should I start? Nonto, March. Who? Oh, Tom, you've just absolutely messed with my brain there, telling me that Reece James is starting. Okay, so from a Chelsea fan perspective, I do not like that news because I feel like we're rushing Reece James straight back in, which is, I'm not a fan of that at all, him starting. That could be drama going forward. Okay, anyone who's got him, just a heads up, Reece James starts. Reece James starts for anybody that doesn't know right now. He is supposedly going to be starting for Chelsea. That's absolutely fried my brain, that is. Right. Liam asked, hi mate, which two should you start? Nonto, March, Aurier and Odegaard. Well, you have to start Odegaard, and I think you probably have to start Nonto because of his double game week in that situation. Start Wilson or Kane. Has to be Kane. Thanks for asking the question. Appreciate it, mate. No worries at all. Cristiano. Ashley, my defense is Mings, Trippier, Shaw, Botman, and Bruno. Keeper is Pope and Ward. Yep, don't mind that at all, Ashley. I think you've got some solid picks there. Mings covers you well for the game week. What I would say is, Ashley, obviously having double Newcastle defence for game week 25 is going to be a problem later down the line with their blank. Riley, start Mahrez or Matoma. I think it has to be Matoma right now with that fantastic game week. If I was to look at the projected points for both players, Matoma is 5.3, Mahrez is 3.3. So it's all in the favour of Matoma this week. Guys, we have 3 minutes until the deadline. So make sure, if you haven't already, you get your teams locked in. Just to confirm my team, it is on screen here, as you can see, and I'll run through exactly what I've done. So Azpilicueta, Kepa in goal, a back three of White, Shaw and Trippier, midfield four of Martinelli, De Bruyne, Rashford and Fernandes, and a front three of Mitrovic, Haaland and Nketiah. I've used my 2 free transfers. I've sold Harry Kane. Yes, I know I've sold Harry Kane. I do think it will bite me later down the line, but it benefits my personal team. And I've brought in Nketiah. And I've sold Almiron, mainly because of that blank going forward and his form recently. And I have brought in Bruno Fernandes for that double game week. I have put the captaincy on Rashford. I would have put the triple captaincy on Rashford if I hadn't already used it on Haaland in game week 20. Plans going forward, I don't know right now, but I think my team is better suited to this rather than selling Kevin De Bruyne for the game week. Right. 2 minutes until deadline, guys. So make sure your team is locked in and loaded. Do not be missing out. Just to confirm, Reece James is starting and Enzo Fernandez is also starting, which is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe that Reece James and Enzo are starting. Really shows that no messing about, straight in, and you know, Reece James is coming into my team next week, confirmed, I think. I love the guy as an FPL option. Right, 1 minute until the deadline, guys. If you're on this live stream, I really do love you being on here, but realistically, you need to get off and get your teams locked in because there is very little chance you're going to have the time to have me answer your question and then go back onto the site and do the transfers you have done. So I'm just checking from a selfish perspective that my team is locked in and it is officially confirmed. Yes, it is a bench of Andreas, Doherty, Patterson with Ward, captain on Rashford, and my team is locked in. So, guys, any last questions? Obviously, Nacho's going to have a meltdown. Absolutely will do. I can't believe the team that Chelsea are fielding right now. Bueno or Castagne to start? I probably would go for Castagne. Fernandes for Mount or Martinelli? I would sell Mount and bring in Fernandes, absolutely. Start Ake or Andreas? I would start Ake of the two, absolutely. And guys, I'm just about to refresh the page and I think that's it. That is officially the Game Week 22 deadline. can't make any more moves. You can have a deep breath and a sigh. That is it. You can't do any more right now with the information that we have had. So hopefully you got your teams locked in. I really hope you didn't miss the deadline. Of course, it was a Friday deadline with Chelsea playing tonight. So all that leaves me to say is thank you very, very much for tuning into this live stream, guys. I really do appreciate it. It's been a fantastic one. And as always, thank you for the support on the channel. It has been awesome. All I want to plug, as always, is the Fantasy Football Fix Chrome extension that you can see on your screens here. So if I just reset the draft here, just a reminder, again, I know I've been chatting about this, but it is worthwhile me saying, with the draft here and the Chrome extension, link is in the bio. Free Google Chrome download for you to sync your Fantasy Football Fix account and the official FPL website. Might be a problem right now because, of course, the game's down while the deadline's passed, but I really do recommend it, guys. With the game weeks coming thick and fast, with the blank game weeks, the doubles, I really do recommend downloading the free Google Chrome extension. Means that you can plan your teams going forward with up to 5 drafts. Really recommend it. I've been using it religiously and it has helped me out. And it is something that I cannot promote more. So, right, guys, all that leaves me to say is have a fantastic game week. I really hope it does pay off. If you can drop a like on your way out, that is much appreciated. If you aren't already, make sure you are subscribed, followed, whatever you are watching on the platform, guys. And well, at least we say have a great game week, and I'll talk to you